Welcome back to my stitching chair. I thought today we would do a little stitch along as I caught you up on my stitching and my plans and life in general. How about that? I have to tell you that one of the things I've noticed is, usually I have like a lot of different things going on. Like Arbitrary August was great. Every day I was stitching on something different. And in September, my month started off with plans all over the place. But I have found that as my stress level has climbed, that I am like a dog with a bone, one bone, which is quite interesting to me. And I think I'm kind of interested in how that has evolved, because I am anything but a monogamous stitcher, but that's what's happened. And it's like I am compulsive about it. How about you guys? How are you dealing with your stress? I have to say that stitching on one project that's on 40 count is like a dog with a bone. I can't seem to distract myself with anything else. So I think that's the best part of our stitching life, is that there is a part of it that is going to soothe our anxiety. There's something in there, whether it be suddenly you need to stitch on 14 count Ada because you want to see the holes, or maybe you need to do 40 count because you want to look at life through a magnifier. It is kind of fun to think about in that way. And so I am just kind of enjoying myself. We can't go outside. Well, I have to share this with you because I looked this up. Our air quality here in Sisters is the worst in the world. I mean, I was like, okay, this last week, our air index was 605. Just to give you an idea, the air quality in Mumbai was 57. Ours was 605 this week. I was like, how bad is our air? And so then I went and I looked up Beijing, because I remember when I flew into Beijing, it was scary because you literally, I felt like I literally could cut the air with a knife. It was so thick, because they not only have pollution issues, they have, when the wind blows the sand off the Gobi Desert, it just makes, it's like you can't see in front of your hand in front of your face. And I remember when we were landing at the airport in Beijing, that when those wheels hit that ground, I never saw the ground. I was in a window seat. I never saw the ground. And then the wheels suddenly hit. Well, today in Beijing, their number is 87. Today, in Sisters, we are, let's see, we're actually 160, which is the best it's been. It's the best it's been all week, because we've been in the 500 and, yesterday we were 529. So today we're 160, which is interesting because I still can't see the ranch. There are no mountains outside my window. So I just, and then I wanted to see, Portland, my poor family in Portland, today theirs is 470. Yeah, that's crazy. That's just crazy. I tell you, it's been quite a week. And so one of the things that I do to distract myself or entertain myself is while I'm sewing or stitching, I'll listen to podcasts. And I don't know if you all are addicted to podcasts like I am, but boy, I'm a podcast junkie. And so yesterday I listened to Brene Brown's podcast with Scott Schonenheim, and I immediately went over to the library and requested his book Stretchy, because I just enjoyed, I enjoyed thinking about something other than myself. You know, thinking about how I might make my existence happier or lighter or better or more open. And after I was done with Brene Brown's podcast, I went to the podcast called This American Life. I love that podcast also. And that one was, the one I chose to listen to was so great because it is, it's This American Life, and it's episode 711, and it's called How to Be Alone. And the person giving the essay is a professor and a teacher, and she lives alone, and she lives in Baltimore, and she's an author. And in Baltimore, you don't necessarily need a driver's license, and she now wishes that she did have a driver's license, because she would drive the 40 miles to see her father and wave to him through the window, but she doesn't have a driver's license, and now it's a little bit uncomfortable in big cities to get on public transportation with the whole COVID epidemic. And so she really wanted to understand what it was like to be alone because of the sheltering in place. I told G that the last 3 days, now this is sheltering in place. What we were dealing with before was, sure, we were sheltering in place from COVID, but we could jump in Penny and drive a mile down the road and be in the great outdoors and walk out in the woods, and we could do that stuff. If we wanted to put on our mask and gloves, we could go to the grocery store. We are truly sheltering in place right now. They had one of the doctors from the public health department on yesterday on the news, and they said, do not go outside. That they just don't even know what this level of air pollution is going to do to everyone's health. And so we have not been out of the house, we haven't even opened the door to our front yard, because when you open the door, the smoke rolls in. Even when we go out into our garage, neither of us wants to go out there, take the garbage out, because the garage is not sealed as tight, and it smells awful out there. So we have truly been sheltering in place. I know there's some of you that have been doing this also, but we have not. We've always been able to go out into the forest for walks and stuff, but heck, not now. And so this author, or this person who talked on This American Life, How to Be Alone, interviewed an astronaut, because who better to understand isolation than someone who's spending months in space. It was really fascinating, and I highly recommend it because it was eye-opening and entertaining, and you went, oh, that's kind of how I feel, you know, because they really are isolated. So I've been doing my podcast thing. I've been watching a little bit of HGTV while I stitch. I've been watching Floss Tube upstairs while I'm sewing. I have really nothing to complain about. Yeah, nothing to complain about. Today is a blessing, let me tell you. But I thought I'd just give you a little bit of an update on what happened. What happened this last week? So when I went to Acorns and Threads, I told you that I already showed you everything that I got there. Yeah. And so I started moving my projects around, my project bags, and saying, oh, this one really needs to live in this bag, and this one really needs to move to this bag. So this is on the sooner than later horizon. I mean, before the end of the year is what I'm talking about. When I first saw this project on Blitstitch, he was working on it, and I was just over the moon. I like Quaker designs, and I was just over the moon. And so I thought, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. And so I bought the chart, but I didn't kit it up. And then a few videos ago, Lisa on Kindred Stitches showed her completed project, the same one, Christmas Quaker 2. And I was just in love. And she said, as much work as she put into it, it is hanging up year round. And I was like, it was like being allowed, like you can eat all the chocolate you want. And so I decided to kit it up because I knew I was going to start it sooner than later. What I have to tell you, and this goes for in the quilting world too, is that sometimes the photography for the chart sucks. I mean, I don't know if the designers, some of the designers don't realize that they would sell 10,000 more if they had it photographed better. I don't know. But this one is Quaker Christmas 2. And it's all these Quaker designs with the titles of all the Christmas carols and the music from the holiday times. And so this is how that looks. It's kind of all, see in the photograph, they didn't even photograph the whole thing. It's kind of wadded up there. The thing about it is it takes over 20 skeins. Yes, over 20 skeins of current. And that is hard to come by. I got the fabric, it's on 28 count, and I got the fabric at Acorns and Threads, and Acorns and Threads was able to send me the all of the Christmas Carol, the script is in Blue Spruce by Gentle Arts, and they were able to send me the 5 skeins that I needed for that, but they did not have the 20-some skeins, and I couldn't find it anywhere, really. Not, right now, especially during this COVID time, to find 20 skeins of one color, you almost need to buy a hank from one of the online shops, and I thought about doing that, but I wasn't as motivated. And then suddenly last week I got super motivated, and so I had ordered, just to see what happened, from 123 Stitch, the red current by Classic Colorworks, and I ordered 23 skeins. Yeah. And it allowed me to order it. So I said, oh, they must have that many. And it came this last week. So I have this all kitted up, and ready to start whenever the emotions move me, I guess. And I have it in this beautiful, beautiful bag. Yeah, so now that's all ready. Let's see. Because I suddenly became a monogamous stitcher overnight. I know I have to get back to my Korean peeps, but I haven't been able to stop stitching on the salve that I'm doing with Stitching in the Bluegrass Gin. I don't know what it is, but it's like, you know, when I do embroidery or I'm stitching, appliquing, anything like that, I can do it and think about other things. You know, it's pretty easy to be hand appliquing and think about, oh gosh, I hope those people up on the top of the mountain didn't lose everything. Or, oh, I hope my poor little Emily, daughter-in-law who's pregnant, is getting enough oxygen. You know, I mean, you know, you can let your mind do the whole, oh no. But when you're stitching on 40 count and doing cross stitch, you can't do that too much. You really have to pay attention. You have to count, recount, and count again. And then frog, frog, and then stitch, stitch, and recount. And so it's so engaging that you don't have as much anxiety. At least that's what's going on in my world. So I went ahead and just went with it. And I have been moving along on this project. It's not a big project, but because it's on 40 count, it is a fair amount of stitching. And I absolutely love it. It's by Lila Studios. I got the pattern and the threads and fabric from Acorns and Threads. And I'm just loving it. I am just loving it. The only thing I did different is, let me show you the cover. So you'll notice that there's a bee on one side and a big butterfly on the other. Didn't work for me. And look at me. Look at, I've got my big girl panties on because I decided I wanted a bee on both sides. So I changed that butterfly to another bee. I'm much happier with it. And after all, it's going to be hanging in my kitchen. So, yes, that's what I did. So I thought I would just do some fill-in stitches, and I've got my, I hope you've got your stitching and your drink. I am again drinking Brew Doctor's kombucha, Clear Mind. Yeah. And let's see, it's rosemary, mint, sage, and green tea. And what's really funny is someone commented to me they tried kombucha and they couldn't stand it. And I find that funny because I can't stand beer. I have never had a beer. I've never had a whole beer. I've had a sip of beer. But I do not like beer. But I am addicted to kombucha. And being vegan, one of the adjustments I had to take body-wise or think about is I used to love yogurt, not like Yoplait yogurt, but real cultured yogurt, so you have those cultures in your gut. Maybe too much information here, but there's certain foods that you get really good digestive properties from, and since I don't eat yogurt, I try to find that in other ways, and kombucha is a probiotic, I guess. I don't know. I could be just blowing hot air. But so I'm going to be stitching this fill-in part, and I love this Brightech lamp. I know in a couple of videos ago I put the link in the description box, and I just love it. I just love it because I can sit here on my nice recliner chair with my stitchy pillow, and I can I found that my eyes are kind of like telescopes, and you sometimes first thing in the morning I maybe can't see the 40 count with my glasses, and then it's like you feel your eyeball and your brain going hee, hee, hee. Oh, there they are, and I can stitch along, and then for whatever reason I can't see it anymore, and so I need the little magnifier that's under here, and so I love how comfortable this is. I wonder what it would be like, I wonder what it would be like to stitch with a frame. You know, I've seen people do stitching with the frame, but it seems like posture-wise you are sitting upright, like you're not in a chair like this. You're sitting more straight upright, and the thing I like about the stitching pillow too is, see, I can rest my hand on there, or my stitching, and I bring that up, and the pattern for this stitching pillow, and because I stitch in hand, you know, you wouldn't need a stitching pillow if you used a frame. Although I would think with the Q-snap it might be nice because you'd have some place to rest. And generally, I use the sewing method, but not always continuously. Sometimes I go back and forth all in the same project. This is 40 count, and it's one thread, and I just I really like it. I'm really liking it. My go-to has always been 32 count, but I could see myself doing more 40 count. Right now I have this one and the Blue Flowers Sleeping Bee that are both 40 count. And then I have a pattern. I have not been able to go to the mail because I'm not going outside. And but I did order a couple patterns from Luminous Fiber Arts, and I love her fabrics, and so I ordered a piece of 40 count for one of those projects. Her new Halloween project is just, oh, it's just so cute. I have a great desire to start a bunch of things. It's kind of interesting how I have merged my two worlds, because although I have two separate channels, I am mostly watching Floss Tube when I'm quilting. Yeah, when I'm quilting, I'm watching Floss Tube upstairs. When I'm cross-stitching down here, because I'm cross-stitching where the TV is, I'm mostly you know, in the evening. It isn't, usually I cross stitch first thing in the morning, and then in the evening when G and I sit in here. Oh, I think I missed it. Gotta go back and not. Yep, I missed a hole. So do you think, now see, COVID didn't really change my stitchy behavior. It changed my shopping and kitting behavior. But I am finding these fires and the smoke has changed my stitching behavior. Are you pretty consistent with your stitching behavior, or do you find that it's a more emotional journey? I really have to stay, be very careful, be very careful. I have, off these various sites, I have stuff in carts. Do you do that? You just don't pull the trigger, you just put it in the cart. Yeah, I saw this one, oh, I can't even remember the name of it now, but it's a Quaker type pattern. It's called something about in every tree a bird sings or something like that. Oh, it was just gorgeous. So I went online and I said, I want the chart and all the threads. And then there's a notice that tells you, oops, some things you're requesting are not available, and like half the threads weren't available. And so that totally was a lifesaver in terms of that I didn't press buy, you know. I'm about getting the whole package. Yeah, I was supposed to, at the end of this month, be in a workshop with Beth Twist of Heartstring Samplery and Paulette Stewart, Plum Street. I know. It's so tragic. Yeah, so they're going to try to do a Zoom. Of course, Beth, she's in the area where there's still potential. She's still on some, I'm pretty sure she's probably on some level of evacuation alert, whether it be 1 or 2, because I know she lives up near Mount Hood somewhere, and we came through there last week, coming home from Portland, because we couldn't come home our regular way. The highway was closed because a fire had gone off across the road, and so I don't know if she'll be in a position to do that Zoom workshop. kind of a seasonal stitcher in some ways, but at the same time, I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't put labels on ourselves. Maybe we should just stitch and enjoy ourselves, huh? I think that's why I enjoy watching Floss Tube, because everybody has, you see all their different personalities. They're not being influenced in the moment by, like if you were in a big workshop, whoever you're sitting with, or if you were like at a First Thursday, you're influenced by the people around you. When you are sitting at home, even though you're looking at stitching online or Pinterest or Floss Tube, you are the most important person in the room, if you know what I mean. So you're not as swayed as you would be if I was sitting right next to someone who's shopping and they're going clicking by. You know, you have that little layer. So I kind of, in some ways, stitching alone, you have more control over your stitching. I don't know, it could be full of hot air. I could be full of floss for all I know. And, but when I watch Floss Tube, then I have to be careful because I'm stopping. I had to laugh. Oh my God. I had to laugh so hard when I was watching. Here's the chain of influence. I was watching Becca of SamBrie Stitches, who was watching Christy of Java Girl Stitches, and Christy was showing her finishes, and Becca stopped watching that Floss Tube in the middle of it, put on her shoes, got in her car, and went shopping. That, I just howled at that. And it's hard, I mean, it was so nice to see Christy back. You know, she took the summer off, which I love that she did that. I think we all need sometimes a break from our life. And that girl, my gosh, I can see why she needs a break every so often. She is a fully finisher, and the things that she finished were unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah, she should be on HGTV with her own show, or have her own show. You know, like Marie Kondo has a show about organization. Christy of Java Girls should have her own show on finishing. Yeah, yeah, she should be on the Home and Garden. That would be perfect. She's the full package. I need to get some things fully finished. I have a lot of fully finishing I have, let me see if I can get this out of my mouth. I have some fully finishing products. Yes, that's what I have. And so I need to just take a day and do it. And one of them I have to get done. I have someone special's birthday is coming up, and I need to get her birthday present done. So my sister went on a 2-day trip down to Carmel Valley. That area is all our old childhood stomping grounds, and she was hoping to escape the smoke. She said it was just as smoky down there. It is. It's very dry here. And see, that's the thing, is that, you know, there's all this stuff on the news about people started the fires and stuff. And I do believe that the one down near Ashland that burned 2 towns down, that was started by some wackadoodle. But the fires around up here, what is interesting about our world here, this is why we're very weather conscious, I guess, is that we can have summer lightning and thunderstorms. And when that lightning hits a tree or hits the ground, it starts to smolder. And it can smolder for a week or more. And no one knows really there's a fire gonna start because it's way out in the forest. And it used to be we had fire spotters. I haven't heard of a fire spotter in years, but if you go up the top of Black Butte, there's a tower up there. I can remember back in the day. It was a job, a fire spotter, and they stayed up there all fire season and with their telescope and their binoculars, and they lived up there. And if they spotted that little wisp of smoke, they knew that, oh, most likely a lightning strike that has decided to ignite. And it's interesting because it can be burning under the ground. I always remember years ago, my father-in-law who lived here in Sisters was clearing off his property, and he was burning a pile of sagebrush. And, you know, he had dug the trench and was just burning the pile of sagebrush. And then later in the afternoon, a sagebrush in his neighbor's property exploded with fire. And he had to run over there with the water and a shovel and dirt and put that out. And what had happened is when he was burning his pit, the fire went under the ground and traveled along the root systems, burning it, and then popped up in the neighbor's yard. Fire is a very weird thing. I mean, if you see the pictures up at the top of the mountain, those communities burned down, there's no rhyme or reason why everything around one house burned down to the ground and one house is standing. Or I used to look out from our house when we lived in Bend, and I could see where a burn had gone through, a fire had gone through and taken out a whole subdivision, but there's like one tree unscathed. Yeah, fire is very, very unpredictable. Very unpredictable. And yeah, so it's hard to, so the ones up here were all most likely weather related, because we had some thunder and lightning a few weeks ago. But back to the fire starters. So I can remember one time seeing like a Domino's pizza or something. Guy, I mean, they had to drive a long way to get to the fire spotter's tower, and that guy had ordered a pizza, and the pizza delivery guy's driving up the top of the mountain to deliver it to him. And then, you know, he has to climb down the ladder, and because they stay up there all summer. And for a while, For a while, the Forest Service, after they seemed to close that program down, I don't know how they do fire spotting now. There isn't anybody in those fire spot towers anymore. But they did for a while rent those out for camping, you know. It was kind of a cool idea, but we need those guys back again. Yeah. Let's see what comes out from all this. I have so many friends that have family that have been evacuated in Northern California. All the fires in Northern California are forcing people to come in to escape into Oregon. And then at the top of the mountain, they're escaping down here. Well, that was kind of a ramble, wasn't it? It's so quiet when you can't go outside your home. There's a quietness to the community. I don't see it, it's too unhealthy to be outside. So all the dog walkers are not walking their dogs. Can you imagine what that must be like? It's probably exactly like all the parents whose kids aren't in school. It's probably sheer chaos in the household. Yeah, I know I'm going to have to put this aside here and actually bring the Korean peeps out and start stitching on those because I got to get that framed. We're hoping to go back up to Portland late next week. What's your favorite? Do you like to stitch with one strand or do you like to stitch with two? You know, there's a real advantage to one strand, but it means that you have to do a higher count fabric. And I like, my favorite's 32, so that you're supposed to do 2 threads for that. Gosh, this is going to be so freaking cute. I am so glad that I jumped on board with this. I know exactly where I'm going to put it. Although to tell you the truth, I guess I'm more of a process stitcher because I don't have to have a spot. I just have to have a desire. We've been powering through the Midsummer Murders. We're going to have to, I know someone suggested Endeavors. Yeah. think we're gonna, and then we got a free year of Apple TV. It's gonna be interesting to see what's offered on there. I don't have a clue about that. So I really hope you'll I really hope you'll listen to those two podcasts. The one by Brene Brown called Stretch, and then This American Life, What It's Like to Be Alone. It's almost, there were times when I was upstairs sewing when I was listening to them that I actually stopped and I was like, wow, really? Huh, never thought about that. This smoke, although it's a much shorter, I know my conversation's jumping all around the board, but this smoke has shut down things more than COVID did. I mean, there's nobody, literally nobody outside, no tourists, because who would come here? And so then, because there's no tourists, the stores are not opened. Yeah, it's like the world stood still. Every so often, when I look through the telescope we have in the living room, I look out at the ranch and I'll see a cow walk by in the shadow of the smoke, and I think, is that how they make smoked beef? I know. I'm so bad. I'm so bad. Well, thank you for stitching with me, and I hope we get together sooner than later, because I certainly do enjoy these times. And maybe I'll be further along on something else besides this sow that I am just addicted to right now. It is so fun. So there, let's see, let me show you. Filling in behind the coffee. Yeah. How fun is that, huh? I like the tubies. They're so cute. Thank you for hanging out with me. I hope you have a good day. I am looking forward to when we meet up again, and maybe I'll have a new start, who knows. But other than that, please stay safe. Hopefully your area isn't as smoky as this one is. And for those of you that have been displaced, oh, my heart is there with you.